Milwaukee currently sits in first place in the Eastern Conference. I want to note that Bobby right now is averaging close to a double-double, 13.7 points, 9.7 rebounds. His production has waned a little bit over his last 6 games played. He's playing just 18 minutes a game. But for all intents and purposes, the guy's averaging a double-double off the bench, which, to me, means he should get a little more pub and press around sixth man of the year, which I don't feel like he's getting right now. Brogdon has sort of been the leader there. I know there was a stretch where Westbrook was talked about when he was coming off the bench for the Lakers. Norman Powell has gotten some love. But for me, this award is like a 3-man race to me with 17 to 18 games to go. So Brogdon, Emmanuel Quickley, who has essentially came out of nowhere over the last month. And I got to say, Bobby Portis, I think those two guys are, to me, the favorites. Bobby Portis maybe on the outside looking in, but he should absolutely be in the conversation for sixth man of the year.
Quickley is a minus 170 now.
Odds-on favorite.
Odds-on favorite was plus 25,000 on February 24th. Yep. I don't remember a jump. I have a question for you about this particular award. 19 of the last 20 winners have been guards. Montrez in 2020 was the only exception. Is this an award in general where a guy like Bobby, a forward, just as, they may not get the benefit of the doubt that a guard would who puts up, similar numbers?
I think it's a little bit in the way teams operate with rotations and starting lineups. A lot of times and Brogdon is an exception to this, and I would actually argue that Quickley is definitely an exception to this, and I'll get to that in a minute. But a lot of times guards that can provide a scoring punch are microwaves like Vinnie Johnson. Cam Thomas currently comes to mind for someone like that, or Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams. And there are questions around their defensive ability, so they essentially get to function as the primary creator in the half court with the bench units. And sometimes they close games, sometimes they don't. So I think that's why. If you're a big and you suck at defense, you kind of don't play for some reason. Because bigs are to me, you can get, and I know, you can get away with being an okay defender on the wing because if you're playing with DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, Joel Embiid,
it can make up for it.
It can make up for it. That's exactly right. So I think generally you're not getting that scoring punch off the bench from bigs because a lot of them start. A lot of them that are going to play heavy minutes also have to be good defensively. Bobby, by the way, talks about his sort of defensive growth on DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, not a lot of love. 10th most best bets, 10th most handle. He opened at plus 2,500. He's now at plus 6,000. And I did a little
good value.
Well, here's the thing. Milwaukee's awesome. There's a good chance that they end up with this number 1 seed, and his contributions can't be overlooked. I did a little thing because I think it's important to note with players that come off the bench, like what is the value towards winning? And so I just efficiency numbers, simple stuff, player efficiency rating. Brogdon at 18.5, Portis at 18.1, Quickley at 15.4. True shooting numbers, Brogdon stands out there, 62.8. The other two guys are around 57. Win shares actually Quickley leads that, but win shares per 48, again, measured by the actual time on the court. Brogdon leads that. I mentioned Quickley, and he defensively is where I think he's made his presence felt. And go back to the game I called on Sunday, Knicks at Boston, and Boston had a lead in the second half. And it was actually 2 defensive plays that turned that game around. It was a block on Jaylen Brown that Quickley had, and then he got a steal that led to a bucket. So what was a double-digit lead all of a sudden cut down, and then he just got going offensively in the half court. Brogdon is currently second in odds at plus 125. He's been the leader for most of the season, started at plus 2,000. I personally mentioned around November 20th when he was at plus 1,800. that this was a good bet, and that I think given how good Boston was going to be and given how much he was going to play.
Yeah.
And, it's gone from plus 1,800 to plus 120.
Shot the fuck out of the ball the whole year.
Second in the league in three-point shooting. Here's what I like about this particular award, because we talk about criteria for most improved, even criteria for for MVP. This one is the most straightforward one. Like, are you producing? Are you producing on a winning team? What's your production per minute? Are you being efficient? What's your impact? It's cut and dry.
Yeah.
There's not really a narrative around this. And for a long time, too, to your point about the guards winning, this has been about who scores the most off the bench a lot of times, or who's at the top. So like Norman Powell, for instance, like his odds have fluctuated all season. He's had a great season. But I think when you sort of get into the more the metric stuff, impact, defensive, all that stuff, it's clear to me that these three guys are the leaders in this. I personally would favor Brogdon and Quickley over Portis. I think if Portis has a great stretch here and Milwaukee continues to win, you can make an argument he's the sixth man of the year. That's how good he's been this year.
So two quickly things. Raptor grades him currently as the 9th best defensive point guard in the league, and the Knicks are 7.
Brogdon?
Quickly.
Yeah.
And the Knicks are 7.9 points per game better over 100 possessions with him on the floor. My question about this as we go down the stretch, we talked on 0-3 Things this week about the Knicks and the streak they're on, everything like that. But if they, come back down to earth a little bit and they, finish, they're going to make the playoffs, but they finish 6th or something like that. How much of that does that factor in if the Celtics and the Bucks are, the clear 1-2 when you're thinking about this? Like, how much does winning matter when we're thinking about this award?
I think it matters a lot, which is, I think, my argument. If I was to say this day and I had a vote, I would vote for Brogdon. And that's not a knock on Quickley or Portis or any of the other guys we mentioned. We should mention Jordan Poole, probably going to play in start too many games. Tyrese Maxey, probably going to start too many games. Westbrook seems to have lost some momentum. The other thing about Quickley, quick stat, we may have mentioned this on the Old Man and the Three Things, our weekly show available exclusively on Amazon Music, comes out every Monday. But we talked about the Knicks and we talked about Quickley. I didn't have the stat correctly, so I didn't expand on the stat, or I didn't explicitly state the stat when we did it on Monday because I didn't have my notes in front of me. He's 3rd in opponent field goal percentage in the entire NBA for any player that has defended over 500 shots. The number 1 player is Jaren Jackson Jr. The number 2 player is Draymond Green, which means he has the highest defensive field goal percentage as the primary defender of any guard in the NBA. And that's really impressive. The other thing I want to say about Quickley, since December 20th, I want to get his stats perfect because this was the other stat we talked about on Monday. Over the last 35 games since December 20th, the team is 22-13. He's averaging 16.7, 4.1 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 49% from the field, 40.5 from 3 on 6.1 attempts. So, to your point about winning, for at least this stretch of games, huge impact on winning from Quickley. Is it enough to make up for the overall season that Brogdon has had? I don't know. But he certainly has a lot of momentum.
I do wonder, we've talked about this with the MVP conversation, with when guys have these massive national TV games, like where the whole country is watching it, how much of an impact that might make. And I wonder, just anecdotally, with a game like Sunday, with a performance like that, how much that shifts the narrative, even though, like you just said, he's been doing this since December.
Well, I will tell you how much it shifted the narrative. He went from plus 125 to minus 170 overnight.
Yep.
So clear momentum from that nationally televised masterpiece that he had at Boston with 38 points. He's 22 years old or 23 years old. He's in his 3rd year. Like, the Knicks got a good one there. They got a good one there.
I mean, it's a pretty good nucleus to have in the backcourt.
College hoops fans, it's time to bring the action to the palm of your hand with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. This week, new customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up with code JJ. All new and existing customers can take a shot at cashing in big with DraftKings stepped-up parlays. Boost your college basketball winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.